Now, there's been a lot of hoopla and hype regarding the Snapdragon Copilot Plus PCs lately, and I don't have to go into that. But one thing I did notice is not everything works on those devices. And when you have to do professional grade work, such as high-end video editing, or if you're in downtime, you want to do some AAA gaming, you just can't do it, or at least not for the most part. But today, I'm going to show you a mobile workstation that certainly fits the bill to get those type of jobs done. Yes, I've teamed up with Lenovo and Intel to bring you this showcase here today. It's the Lenovo ThinkPad P16 Gen 2. Now, I looked at last year's model, a very powerful mobile workstation, or mobile is a little bit of an iffy word. It's kind of big and robust, but it does get the job done. It's got a high-end display, robust build quality, really rock-solid build, excellent keyboard, touchpad, trackpad. You know the deal with the ThinkPads. And it has a really nice CPU-GPU combination. We're talking about Intel's 14th gen processor, the Core i7-14700HX. Yes, they're not playing around here. RTX Ada graphics. We have the RTX 1000 Ada on this, but you could go up to an RTX 5000 Ada for even more graphics horsepower. It all comes together in a really nice package. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is the ThinkPad P16 Gen 2 mobile workstation, brand new for 2024. Coming up. Now, as we take a look at the specs, I just want to let everyone know that I've partnered with Intel and Lenovo to showcase this Lenovo ThinkPad P16 Gen 2 here for 2024. Now, as such, I'm not going to call this a review, but I will give you all the information for you to make an informed decision, as I always do. So just please keep that in mind. Now, also keep in mind, this is a mobile workstation geared towards professionals that will spend whatever they need to spend to get the work done, to make sure it is the right tool for the job, whether it be high-end video editing, whether it be architecture, whether it be medical imaging, and so forth. As long as this is the right tool for the job, they will not mind spending. And also don't forget, they will get discounts from Lenovo when they buy these in bulk, and they'll roll these out in fleets and so forth. So just please keep that in mind. It is also interesting to note that you will also get ISV certifications here that you won't get with a standard commercial or consumer grade laptop. This professional grade laptop is what you will need to get. You know the drill, folks. Let's get this out of the box. Okay, let's check out the power adapter before we get to the unit itself. And we get your power cord right there. 170 watts and it's using Lenovo's own proprietary connection. All right, so let's put that to the side. Now you also get some documentation here, okay? So let's see what we get. We get your warranty information, some other product information, yada, yada, yada. And of course, the unit itself. Let's get it out of its felt here. And I can tell you, it's got a little bit of heft on this. And we saw the last generation, of course, with this red piping and all that. So you're going to get it in this beautiful gray. You'll notice the piping there on the back, and it's a pretty sleek looking in terms of the looks. I like the modern look. Gives it a little bit of pizzazz. You can definitely feel that heft. It is a thick boy, of course. This is a professional grade workstation, so we're not too surprised by that. The build quality is top notch and very little give or flex on the lid. We'll take a look at the ports in a moment, but of course the useless test of the day is this one-handed open test, and obviously it passed that. It handled it without any issues. So right off the bat, you can see here we have a really gorgeous keyboard. I actually love the ThinkPad keyboards. As you know, the key travel, the tactility will be excellent. We get a well laid out numpad here, so for those number crunchers, this is certainly going to get the job done. You've got your cursors there. Now, considering the fact that it has a full-size numpad, it moves the touchpad off center. It's a glass touchpad, and it also has, of course, the Trackpoint with the physical mouse button. So these are all hallmarks and trademarks of the ThinkPad, as we know. So with just the unit alone, you're looking at 3.014 kilograms, and that would be 6 pounds, 10.3 ounces. Yeah, it's a little bit of a big boy. And let's put the power cord and the power charger. You're looking at 3.536 kilograms, and that would be 7 pounds, 12.7 ounces all in for a total travel weight. You know, a lot of you are going to use this as a desktop replacement, so you're not going to move it around that much. So that should be pretty interesting. Okay, let's check out the port selection. Let's start off on the left side. We get one USB Type A port. Next to that is a USB-C port. It's not Thunderbolt for that one. We'll talk about what the others are. And then you get a 3.5 millimeter microphone headphone combo jack. And next to that is the SIM card slot for the optional 5G mobile broadband. Moving over to the right side is the optional smart card reader, a full-size SD card slot, and a USB Type A port. And that's where you'll also get your Kensington lock port. And on the back, you get your power port in. That's the proprietary connection that Lenovo uses. Two USB Type-C Thunderbolt 4 port that are full function. And next to that is an HDMI 2.1 port to round out the ports on this unit. And I would say all in all, an excellent port selection here. And for those wondering, the SD card clicks in and sits flush with the unit. Love it. Now, what makes this workstation pretty special and almost unique at this point is the fact you're getting upgradable storage, upgradable RAM. Let's talk about the RAM first. Yes, you get two SODIMM slots here. Now, if you go with non-ECC RAM, you can go up to 192 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM. They're not playing around. Now, you could also go up to 128 gigabytes of ECC RAM for those that need that. So there are some options there, and having that ability to go up to so much RAM makes it really great, especially for the mobile professional that has that type of RAM requirements for their applications. Now, the SODIMM slots are accessible through a little door on the bottom of the unit, so you don't have to remove the lid. I like that. Just remove that little latch, and you got yourself access to the SODIMM slots, as well as one of the SSD slots that this unit has. There are two SSD slots in total. Now, you can expand out the storage if you want to, and the unit that I have here with 1 terabyte has some excellent reads and writes. You could also go with RAID 0 as a configuration, so there's a lot of options there. So for storage here, it's been pretty great. Now, there are a number of options when it comes to the display, but I would go with the one we have here. It's pretty spectacular, especially for the brightness. We'll talk about that in a moment. You're looking at an IPS display. It's 16 inches, 3840 by 2400. That means you get a 16:10 aspect ratio. It's also got an anti-glare coating on it. Now, coverage of the color gamut is excellent. It's very color accurate. So if you're going to do content creation in Lightroom, Photoshop, video editing, and DaVinci Resolve, Premiere Pro, this will get the job done as far as the panel is concerned. It's got the really deep blacks, the super vibrant colors, but of course it's not OLED, so you don't have to contend with any PWM or screen flickering, which is good, but it is a pretty special display, especially when it comes to screen brightness. Now, they're claiming 800 nits standard dynamic range. I'm seeing 741 nits, which is pretty spectacular. Not quite the 800, but still, when I'm used to 300-400 nits of displays in everyday use, this certainly exceeds that. And watching high dynamic range content on it as well has been excellent. In YouTube, Netflix, Amazon, all that, it works really great. So not only are you going to get work done on this, you're going to be able to consume media on this, which may be important for some. So this is a very, very good display, and especially with that screen brightness, making it even better. Now, a couple of things to note here. This is not an OLED display, as I mentioned. There's no OLED option, but you don't have to contend with any of that PWM. You don't have to worry about screen burn-in. It's also a non-touch display, so for those that don't want to get the smudges and all that on the display when using your fingers, so there's a benefit there. Although I do like touch, as you know, as a nice little feature there. You don't get it on here, but not a big deal on a mobile workstation, that's for sure. But the color accuracy is there, the coverage of the color gamut, what you would need to do professional grade video editing. It's all there. And for those wondering, the screen goes back 180 degrees and has some of the best hinges I've ever seen on any laptop or mobile workstation. There is absolutely no screen wobble when typing. This thing is rock solid in terms of the build. There's no doubt about it. And you'll always get that perfect viewing angle because it does go back 180 degrees. This is a pretty special display here with some excellent hinges on there as well. So this is the camera on the ThinkPad P16 Gen 2 mobile workstation here for 2024. It's a full HD camera. You're looking at 1080p video. It's an IR camera. That means you can log in with face recognition with Windows Hello. There is a physical shutter switch above the camera, which gives you more security and privacy. You gotta love that. Now, it does have the studio effects here. Yes, you do get it on here. You got the auto framing that will keep you always in frame. And boy, does that work really well here. Look at that. You got eye contact. You got the background effect, the background blur, stuff like that. So it's all there. What do you think about the video quality and what do you think about the audio quality? Let me know. Now, when it comes to the processor here, you can go with either the 13th gen processor or the 14th is what we have here, the Core i7 14700HX. Now, this has a really nice processor here. This is a 20-core processor, 28 threads, and it's got 33 megabytes of cache. It's pretty powerful here. Now, I don't know if you're going to see a huge difference over the 13th gen, but it's nice to have 14th gen here. And also the ISV certification. So if you're going to do things like Avid, Altair, Ansys, Bentley, Dassault, Nemetschek, PTC, and all those, you're going to have all those certifications for those professional grade applications. Now, Geekbench 6, which is of course a synthetic benchmark, tests the single multi-core performance as well as the OpenCL, which tests the GPU performance. This scored 2742, 15,389 multi-core, and 80,149. Now, one thing to keep in mind regarding the GPU, this has the NVIDIA RTX 1000 Ada graphics with 80 watts of power fed to it. So that's the equivalent, I would say, of an RTX 4050 from NVIDIA. And I would also look at the RTX 5000 if you need really great graphics power. As you can see, the Dell Precision 5690 that I'm reviewing has that, and you can see almost double the GPU performance. But it is an option here if you want to purchase that. Of course, if you need that extra graphics horsepower, go with that. And to illustrate my point, when I ran the Puget Bench DaVinci Resolve benchmark here, it didn't do quite as well as the Precision 5690 because that one has the RTX 5000 Ada graphics with more RAM, video RAM, I should say. And this had the RTX 1000. So this is very capable. So if you can see here, 2113 versus 1647 overall score. So if you do need that extra graphics horsepower, I do recommend going with that RTX 5000 Ada. But overall, this is a very good video editing mobile workstation, especially if you're going to take it on the go, although it is a little bit heavy, I will admit that, but it is definitely capable here, and that's certainly what we want to see. But again, the option to go with that RTX 5000 Ada is definitely one I would recommend if you do some high-end video editing. And when I ran the Cinebench 2024, you're looking at a very good single-core score of 117, which was really good when you compare it to some of the others in this category and some of the other laptops, even commercial or even consumer grade. And when you look at the multi-core CPU performance, 1036. So this is actually pretty good. And I would say overall, this is what you're going to need to get a lot of this professional work done. Now, you could see head-to-head with the Precision 5690 mobile workstation. Here, you're getting better single core, you're getting better multi-core. That's because this is running a 14th gen processor, the 14700HX versus the Core Ultra 9 185H, which is of course a Meteor Lake. Not quite as powerful, but it will be more efficient. So just keep that in mind. We'll talk about battery life in a moment. But 7921 graphics score versus 16,291. That's because that has that more powerful Ada 5000 graphics. This has the RTX 1000 Ada, so just keep that in mind. But better single, better multi-core score here. Now, I wouldn't characterize this as a gaming laptop. After all, it is a mobile workstation meant to get professional work done. But on your downtime, you can play some games, as I mentioned. This is the equivalent, I would say, of an RTX 4050. So definitely playable. When you play around with some of the settings, you can get some very playable frame rates on some of the more popular titles. You could also add an external GPU via one of the two Thunderbolt 4 ports that this has. And when I ran the 3D Mark Time Spy stress test to see if this will thermal throttle under heavy load, it got a passing score of 98.8%, meaning it detected virtually no thermal throttling under load. That's good. And as far as the surface temperatures are concerned, where you place your fingers on the keyboard, never getting overly hot, so they kept it relatively cool there. You'll notice a little bit of heat above the keyboard, below the display where the heat vents are, which is normal. And on the underside, I noticed a hot spot right by the vent over there, getting about 55, 56 degrees Celsius, but otherwise relatively cool everywhere else, but a little bit of a warm spot there. And then, of course, fan noise is something you'll have to deal with under full load here, full performance. You're looking at about 56 decibels, which is certainly noticeable. But when you're doing everyday tasks, when you're not really pushing it, the fans were not an issue at all. But again, you will notice the fan noise to keep this cool when you are running this under full load. Now, battery life is certainly not the focus on a professional grade mobile workstation, but it is decent for what it is, especially with that high-res 3840 by 2400 display. Now, it does have a 94 watt-hour battery, almost the 100 legal limit that you could take on an airplane. Not quite as big as the battery on the Dell XPS 16, for instance, that we looked at, but that had a different processor. That had a more efficient processor, and that's why you're seeing better battery numbers. I just wanted to give you an example of what to expect with this, but again, this being a big and bulky type device, it's not going to be as portable as, say, something like the Dell XPS 16, so just keep that in mind. But you do get some pretty decent numbers for a professional workstation, about almost 6 hours on the PC Mark 10 Modern Office test, video playback, about 5.5 hours, and when you're doing gaming, for instance, on your downtime, you're looking at a little less than an hour. Not too surprising, but again, battery life is not why you're buying this unit. Now, as far as the ThinkPad line, whether it be commercial grade or a mobile workstation, as we have here, they have excellent keyboards, and this is no exception when it comes to tactility, feedback, and overall key travel. It's very comfortable to type on. I like the tactility, like I said, and very comfortable for typing out long documents, emails, and the like. Now, you'll notice that it does have a numpad for those number crunchers out there, but it does move things off center, so you'll just have to get acclimated or used to it. It takes about an hour, so it wasn't a big deal, but you do get used to it. And it is a full-size numpad for those wondering, and the layout is proper. Now, when it comes to the trackpad, it's that one we've been familiar with on the ThinkPad line with the physical mouse buttons for the Trackpoint. We'll get to that in a moment, but it works very well in terms of scrolling, doing all the gestures. Everything seemed to work very well. And of course, with the Trackpoint, which is an inherent part of the ThinkPad DNA, that works well, especially when you're in an airplane or something like that, where you're limited in space. It may work very well. And some people love it. I don't use it all that much anymore, but it's still there and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Now, when it comes to the audio, you're looking at user-facing speakers with Dolby Atmos. Now, Dolby Atmos will help with the spatial audio. I thought the overall volume was good, the mids were decent, and there was good bass. Overall, pretty decent sound, especially for a mobile workstation. So overall, pretty good in that department. Okay, let's bring it all home, as there's a lot to like here on this P16 Gen 2 mobile workstation here for 2024. Part of the ThinkPad line, and for good reason. Very robust design, very bright UHD Plus display, plenty of ports, mobile broadband ready, excellent keyboard, high level expandability, powerful CPU, low heat production generally, and ISV certified drivers make this a winner. There is really very few flaws on there. Yeah, you can nitpick here and there, but the bottom line is there are no real deal breakers here, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're in the market for a professional grade mobile workstation or a desktop replacement, this certainly fits the bill. There are a lot of options here. You can expand it out in terms of the GPU. You can go with the RTX 1000 Ada, or you can go up to a RTX 5000 for even more graphics horsepower. So the options are there. You got a 14th gen processor. This is a very powerful machine. And when we're looking at things like the brand new Qualcomm Snapdragon, where the graphics are not really a strong suit, at least not yet, you're going to need things like this, where the discrete GPU gives you that real production quality level performance that you don't get from that. And let's just keep that real, right? So this is still something you're going to need. Even if you want to do gaming on this, it's certainly possible here. A lot of options here, and very highly recommended. So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. And don't forget to check out my website, amdtechreviews.com. So until next time, this is Andrew, and I'll see you in the next video.